And I want to know, do you ever get this question like, man, when you're speaking with a prospect and they say, I don't see what your product could do for me? Well, in this video, we're going to answer exactly how to handle that. Happy Tuesday, Sales Ascender. Sean here. So excited to be with you today. And we are back for another high ticket tune-up in our sales objection series. I'm so excited today because we have another one coming in. It is this: I don't see what your product could do for me. And that's such an awesome thing to hear from a prospect. Why? Because that tells us some immediate feedback, some criticism. And I just, man, there's so many sales calls that I remember being a part of that I would get involved and I would go down the path of asking about what they're doing, where they're headed, how they're getting into whatever they're doing. And at the end, I would say, well, I got this cool stuff and here it is. And then I would share what I was doing. And then what would happen is the prospect would turn to me and say, well, I don't see what your product could do for me. And so the fundamental flaw in this particular sales objection is what we call stage 3 in our sales ascension method, which is called finding the pain. If you hear this objection from your client during a conversation, this means we did not do our job as a sales professional or sales ascender in diving into their world to understand what the problem is that they may or may not have. And again, our job as a sales professional is very simple, is to just understand if the people we're speaking with actually have the problem that we can solve or that we don't. And so for this one to come out, wherever it comes out in the conversation, what's interesting to think about is we need to go back in and investigate, right? So there's these 4 stoplights that I'm going to share 4 stoplights with you that will walk you through how to get back into this particular objection if you see it. Okay, so the first stoplight is this. It's why you, why me, why this, why now? Those are all 4 of the stoplights, and here's how they work, right? So if you get that objection, let me just go back to it so you can see it. I don't see what your product could do for me. One of these questions, one of these stoplights is red for you, okay? And so all we need to do is we need to understand mentally in the conversation which one of these makes the most sense. Now, if someone says this to you again, I don't see what your product could do for me, it's probably not going to be you. It's probably not going to be me. It might be this, right? And so again, why this is the stoplight that we need to kind of dig back into. And if you can answer these 4 questions in a sales conversation, guess what? You're doing really, really well, right? A lot of people say, hey, just get these answered in a sales call and you're going to be in good shape. But if we get this one question, I don't see what your product could do for me, then we need to talk about why this. And so then you say, oh, well, I'm sorry, right? So the immediate way to get back into the pain conversation where you need to get back when you hear this objection is saying, I always call it like falling on your sword. So you like get your sword, stabs you here in the side, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that you were struggling with blank, whatever it is that problem is that you solve. Because then what they'll say is, oh, well, no, I don't have that problem. Huh, okay, well, do you get frustrated with this? Are you concerned by this? Is this annoying when this happens? And this gives you the ability to use some of those emotional trigger words that we've talked about so often. If somebody's saying to you, hey, like, I don't see what your product could do for me, you say, man, I think I missed it, right? Be intentional about that. Say, I just need to kind of curiously, like, one of the things that we solve, people come to us all the time when people are struggling with this. What is that thing for you? You got to answer that question, and you can throw it back out there because like they're having a conversation with you. There's something about you that they already liked. And if they're speaking, why me? With them, probably because they have a similar problem or there's some sort of a scope of an issue that they may have in the realm of what you can do and help and solve. And so the things that we need to think about is like, okay, did I answer why you? Did I answer why me? Now it's why this. Why this dives into, hey, do you struggle with this? Are you concerned with this? Are you frustrated with this? And so again, if I don't see what your product could do for me, if you hear that, the immediate says, oh, I think I missed it. And we're going back to this, why this? Clients come to me when they're struggling with this. Do you not have that issue? Like I thought you did. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it, right? And then why now is the urgency and scarcity play. And when you go back into this particular format, when you're speaking with somebody, what you'll find is that they'll start to crack open. Because this objection is very simple, right? This objection just simply means we didn't get enough pain in our sales conversation. And so all we have to do is go back and get into the sales conversation with the pain, and then you'll be able to answer this question and problem. And by the way, if somebody does say this and they're legitly like, okay, I don't see a product use, I don't see a use for your product for me, that's okay. disqualify them. There's so many other people out there that you can continue to speak with. And by the time that you speak with all of them, you will have filled up your business with the right people that have the right problem that are swimming towards you. Because the worst thing that can happen is you are so good at sales and you're going through this conversation and they say, I don't see what your product could do for me. And you never take the time to dive into whether or not it could help them, but you're good enough to get them over the line and you convert them. This has happened to me before. That leads to dissatisfied client. Dissatisfied client is so much more negatively impacting in your business than doing the work up front. Because when somebody's dissatisfied with your service, your product, because you got them involved, even though they said, I don't see what you can do for me, but I like you, I'll support you, I'll just buy your thing anyway. If that happens, then what happens is they're going to have a bad experience and they're going to go start talking at the mouth. So they say something like one bad client takes like 100 good clients to reverse what they say and what they do. And so this makes our system that much more powerful, because when you're having a conversation, our job is to disqualify them. So when you switch your mindset around to qualifying somebody into, do they fit or they not? No. Hey, clients come to me when they struggle with this problem. If you're not having this problem, like you're not a fit, go away, is a disqualification move. And that will be the answer to this particular question or this objection is, I don't see what your product could do for me. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you struggled with this problem. Do you not? Oh, no. I don't. Okay, cool. Well, other clients come to me when they're annoyed by this, or they're worried because this is happening, or sometimes they're pissed off that this is going on. Which one of those happens in your world? And then you can define, do they have a problem yourself? And if not, then say, well, man, I think I messed this whole thing up. Like, how can I refer you? Or who are you looking for? Maybe I have a client in my network that I can refer your way, because it's not a fit. But again, if you haven't done the right job in the pain compartment when you're talking with them, your job is to dig back in and understand what problem they have and what you could solve. Because when you can solve that problem for them, guess what? You're going to win the game every single time. And that's just awesome. So with that said, guess what, guys? You've just been tuned in. Next time someone says, I don't see what your product could do for me, just remember, it's going to be one of these 4 stoplights that you got to go back in and redesign the conversation around. Typically, it's going to be that third one, why this? So if you're in a conversation, just remember to hit these green lights instead of stoplights, and you're going to win every single time. Hopefully that was valuable for you. I know you've just been tuned in, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.